Welcome to our next session of Where's Your Focus? And today's focus, we will be speaking about frequencies. I think it's our fourth session, Linda, our fourth episode.
It's our
Yeah.
first episode.
Wow.
Time flies.
That's cool. It does.
It's already
So
four
I'm-
episodes.
Yeah, crazy, right? So I'm Karen Alexander.
And I'm Linda Milan.
For those of you who haven't seen our podcast yet, basically what we do in the beginning of our podcast is talk a little bit about the Schumann's resonance. There hasn't been a whole lot going on with that in the last week. We've had today, we're a low of 7.69 hertz and a high of 8.04 hertz. And that's pretty much where it's been fluctuating the last week or so, right? So we're not seeing any of the big spikes. The last big spike we saw was back around December the 5th, I think, where it went up to 800 hertz in Italy. Yeah. So, and we've had that, the big event 2 days ago.
The big event.
Yeah. Did you see the pictures?
I've seen the pictures. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful. Yeah, amazing. And I don't know about you, if you've noticed anything, but for me, the last, that morning, the morning of the 21st, I was awake at 4 o'clock and I was not going back to sleep. I just didn't sleep at all. The next day I got up at 5:30 and then this morning I was up at 6 o'clock. So it just seems that my sleep has really been the last couple of days, for sure, been affected. And I've had more energy, it feels like. Maybe that's just crazy. I don't know, but how about you?
I feel like for me, it's been a huge purging around here. And I don't know if it's because Christmas is coming or what the deal is, but I've pretty much gone through like my main floor. I've gotten rid of so much stuff. And then upstairs, like my whole house is just completely reorganized and purged and sent a bunch of stuff off to the secondhand store or the whoever needs it, whatever.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
And so me and my daughter have just been going crazy, getting rid of everything. And I've been doing on the day of, I felt a lot of pressure here if I didn't stop often and go inward.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than that, it's been pretty much just like, let's clean and purge and get rid of everything.
That's good. Yeah. The biggest thing I noticed, like I say, was I did have more energy. I do have more energy. I don't know what that's about, if that has anything to do with it or not, because I've not been no sleep, but no dreaming. Like all my dreams seem to have stopped. And so, yeah,
I can't say that I've noticed any real dreaming. Last week I had some significant dreams, and then after that, I haven't really had anything else show up. But I haven't, like, I wrote the dreams down, but I haven't looked into them. And a lot of times what happens with me is if I don't look into the dream that I've had, a lot of times I won't have another one.
Oh, really?
Until I go into it, which I will. It's just, time and.
Right. Wow, that's interesting though, eh?
It is.
Yeah, it's almost like they're giving you time to get the messages. If you don't get the message, they're not giving you any more until you do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's
sometimes
cool.
if there's something like really intense going on, I'll have dreams like 2 or 3 nights in a row.
Okay.
And then it's like they all kind of mix into one another, and then I won't have any until I get all of that straightened out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Neat.
it's interesting. Yeah, it is neat. It really is. It's so interesting how things are coming in and how things get processed in the brain.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're going to get into the frequency, which is basically the number of waves that pass a fixed place in any given amount of time. And it's measured in hertz. So if you imagine the string of a guitar, say, I don't know what chord it would be, but say it's tuned at 432 hertz, then it's going to vibrate 432 times in 1 second period. So that's basically what we're going to talk about today. And Linda, if you want to go ahead and let
Sure.
us know what we expect in this episode. And
okay, perfectly. So I'm going to open up with your brain waves. So we have brain waves. Our brains is giving off electromagnetic waves every second. So each section we have, which I talk a lot about, but we have like our gamma waves, beta waves, alpha, theta, and delta. And each one is giving off a certain frequency. So when we're in gamma, we're in like problem solving, fast thinking. We're like, things are moving very quickly. And that is sitting at a 35 to 100 hertz per second. So that means 35 to 100 waves are coming out of your brain waves per second. And so this is a very fast paced place to be. Then we go into beta. Beta is your next one underneath that. And this is when we're starting to we're sitting down watching TV. We have, a lot of action coming out of, processing happening while we're watching TV or, doing dishes, like things that we do regularly. This is we're sitting in beta. And the beta is operating from 15 to 40 hertz per second. And then we go down once we start to do some meditation, or if you're not a meditator, but you just lay down to go to sleep, this is when you're entering your alpha brain waves where you're still awake. Your thoughts are not moving as fast as they would during the day. And this is your alpha brainwave state, and that is 9 hertz to 14. So you're not giving off a whole lot of waves, but this is where we're moving from your wake cycles to your sleep cycles. So once we go into theta, now this is where we have a lot of active dreaming. So your theta, a lot of dreaming happens in your theta, and then deep dreaming happens in the delta. So you're constantly moving back from delta to theta while you're dreaming. So theta is 4 to 8 hertz per second, which I think is really interesting once we get into these numbers, because we can see that this is where the planet's been vibrating.
Exactly.
Right. All of these years. And now it's starting to wake up and kind of move into those higher ones. And then your delta, you're only operating at about 1 to 4 hertz per second. So this is your deep restorative sleep. This is where a lot of the healing that happens in the body when we're sleeping, a lot of the, when you're, a lot of times when we have any kind of sickness or anything, all you want to do is sleep. That's where your body wants to be. That's where your brain wants to operate, is in those low brain waves.
Right. And I have the something to keep in mind for anyone who's watching. You will see different sites when you do searches. You'll see different, how can I say, where Linda gave numbers out, you're going to see different numbers in different places. It's normal that you're going to see a little bit of difference, a little bit of variance there of 1 hertz or whatever, right? That's fine. Don't worry about that too much. Yeah. So those are the brain waves and pretty much what we use on a daily basis. So that's frequency. Our organs also have frequency, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. But what I'd like to talk about, Linda, is a couple of different scales of frequencies, okay? And especially for healing, because I mean, basically that's what we talk a lot about here is healing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure many who are watching or will watch have heard of the solfeggio frequencies, right? The solfeggio frequencies were it's a set of frequencies or a scale of frequencies that the Gregorian monks used for meditation, and they used a series of 6 notes, I guess, on a scale, right? After later on, there was also another 3 notes that were found. Now I'm just going to show you a quick picture because I can't share the screen here, but I'm just going to show you a quick picture. And this is basically, I don't know if you can see that. Yep. This is basically what the solfeggio frequencies, how they work, okay, or how they're set up. So if you look at, it's a set of 3 triangles, right? So if you take out one of the triangles, the one at the north, and you're going to see, I got to put my glasses on to make sure I don't get my numbers wrong here because they're backwards for me. So at the north, you're going to see 396. That's one of the solfeggio frequencies. Okay. And if you notice at this corner, if you take the 6 from the back and put it to the front, then you've got 639. And on the other side, you're taking the 9 from the back, putting it at the front, and you've got 963. Okay, so this is how basically the solfeggio frequency works. And so if you go back then and you look at the whole scale, so you start at the, I got it upside down, you start at the 396, and then you're moving down to 417, which is the next frequency. But if you go on that triangle and you do the same thing, take the 7, put it in the back, you're going to have 174, and then the same thing, 471. So you can see the correlation between the numbers, right? And then the third triangle, you're going to do the same thing, right? So that's the solfeggio frequencies, and that's how they discovered the final three notes, right? Because the Gregorian monks used 6, and using this triangle, they can actually find the other 3, the final 3 notes, which are the 174, the 285, and the 963. So it's the last square on each of the triangles is where they found them, just by rotating those numbers, right? And what's interesting is if you take the numbers of the triangle, right? So you take the 936 or the 963, you take them up. I'm holding it backwards, so you have to bear with me here. So if you start with the 963, you go to the 639 and the 396. So you're going backwards or counterclockwise, and you write your letters, you write your frequencies out, right? You do the same thing on each of the triangles, okay? If you can take any 2 from any row, and you're going to find a difference of 111.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? So that's and when you look at 111, I mean, that's quite a common number for anybody who's into spirituality and this type of thing, right? So yeah, and the difference, so that difference of 111, Cambridge University had done some studies. And what they say that frequency of 111 does is it increases your right prefrontal cortex, and it decreases the left. So that's pretty neat. Now, having said that, the solfeggio frequencies have the difference of that 111. But if you're going to use the frequency 111, you can't use the solfeggio frequencies to get it, because you'd have to use, the solfeggio frequencies can't be used in binaural beats. So what a binaural beat is if you listen to one frequency on one side and what the other frequency on the other side, the difference is what is it kind of tricks your brain into hearing the difference of the 2. Okay, that's what a binaural beat is. But in order for a binaural beat to work, the hertz of both have to be under 1,000, and they have to be no higher than 30 hertz apart. So because these are 111, you can't get a binaural beat from any 2 of the solfeggio frequencies. It's just interesting that the difference is there, right? So if you want a difference, you're not going to get a difference of 111 because it's too broad. You could get a difference of the Schumann's resonance, for example, 7.83, if you have 2 different frequencies that have the difference of 7.83. Right? So that's how you'd get the binaural beat of that frequency. But with the solfeggio frequencies, again, you can use the frequencies on their own, and each frequency is kind of used for something different. Like kind of the same as what the brain frequencies are that you explain, Linda. Different frequencies are going to put you like in sleep mode, in problem solving mode, that kind of thing. Well, the same thing happens with the solfeggio frequencies. Now, I know off the ones that I use on a daily basis, but some of them I don't know 100% because I don't use them as often. So I've got my lists here. The 174 hertz, which is the first, it's the lowest frequency in the solfeggio. I don't know if you can hear that. But this one is said to reduce pain physically and energetically. So this is the frequency that I use in the energy field to help clear out any blockages. Okay. The second one is the frequency of 285. Let me see if I got that here. I can't see without my glasses. 285. You can hear that one's a little bit higher. So that influences the energy field as well, and it helps to restructure damaged cells. So that's a very interesting one. The next one, and I'm letting you hear them at the same time, I may as well. The next one is the 417. Now this 417, can you hear it, Linda?
Yep, I can hear it. Yep.
Okay, so the 417, I use this a lot in the energy field and around the body. And basically this one is about facilitating change. So if there's any blockages or anything in the energy, the 417 is the one that I very often will use to help move that blockage through. Another one that I use quite often is the 528. Now the 528 is also called the DNA repair, right?
Wow.
That one has a
The
very
high-pitched one.
It's very high pitched. It's very calming. I use this in every session at the end of the beginning and the end of every session. I have it in tuning forks and I have it in tuning pipes. It's tuned pipes as well. Yeah. So that one is kind of a transformation. It's called the DNA Miracles tuning fork. The next one is the 396. The 396, which is liberating guilt and fear. I kind of missed this one. They were not in order. Sorry. This is actually the third one. So this one helps to liberate guilt and fear.
Which is a big one.
Yeah. Yeah. A big one. And the next one then, and they're getting higher as I go, except for that one because I had it in the wrong order. This one is the 639. So this one is good for connection and relationships.
I really like that one.
Do ya?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how some of the different sounds will it kind of stirs in you, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a nice one. And then we have the 741, which is good for intuition. It's good to awaken the intuition. So this one is really good for using for anybody who's just starting out, especially, right? To help to awaken the intuition. We all have intuition. We all have everything.
Absolutely.
We're all so amazing. And then the next one is 852, which is the return to spiritual order. It's this one, if you search, I think there's some YouTube videos with this frequency. Really, really calming, and I love it for meditating.
Yeah, I used that one a couple of times too. I've searched it up on YouTube, and anytime, like if I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't seem to go back to sleep, I'll definitely I've used that one a few times.
Yeah, that one is a nice one. And this one is the highest pitch of the solfeggio frequencies, the 963. And this one is the connection with spirit, the awakening to oneness.
Awakening to oneness.
Okay. Yeah. And then once you get over the 1,000 hertz, you're into the angel frequencies, right? So they're pretty cool. I use these, and you don't have to use the tuning forks. I mean, like you say, Linda, you go in, I'm just going to put these back. I'm not sure if I have them in the right order or not, but that's okay. I'll fix them after. Like you say, Linda, you can use them on YouTube. You can do searches and you know.
The singing bowls too. they have all of those same
Absolutely.
frequencies. You can get those and get that same frequency, or even if you tap into something on YouTube where there's a singing bowl ceremony, or it's just they're really great too.
Absolutely. And a lot of times with the singing bowls, you're going to get a variety of the different frequencies, right? So it's going to kind of help with everything. And for meditation or just relaxing, just kind of sitting there, which you probably end up going into meditation anyway, but just relaxing, right? They're so calming, those frequencies are so calming.
They really are.
So yeah, that is the solfeggio frequencies. And the other set of frequencies that I use is the Fibonacci sequence. So the Fibonacci sequence is probably one of the most famous mathematical formulas, right? And it was discovered by Leonardo in Italy. And basically what it is, yeah, pardon me?
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And so basically what it is a sequence of numbers. And what you do is you start at 0 and then you move to 1. And then so every number that comes after is the addition of the 2 that came before. So 0 plus 1 is 1. So it's 0, 1, 1. And 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3, right? 3 plus 2 is 5. Then 5 plus 3. So it keeps moving on up, right? So it's 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. I'm reading this, by the way. 34, 55, 89, 44, 233, and so on. It's continuous. It never stops. And that's the Fibonacci sequence. Now, what's really interesting about the Fibonacci sequence is if you put these numbers into squares, okay, in the widths, they will form a spiral. Okay. All right. And I had a picture, but I forgot to print it out. So it forms a spiral, right? And this spiral that it forms, the exact same you can see in nature. You can see it in sunflower seeds. You can see it in different sea urchins. So it's pretty amazing, right? And as the number sequence continues, the ratio between the two adjacent values, so between the two squares, it approaches what's called the divine proportion or the golden ratio, and it's known as phi. You probably heard about it before, Linda. I'm sure you have.
I have a story about this.
Oh, do you? So the ratio is 1.618 to 1. So that's the golden ratio. So you go ahead with your story and then we'll finish it after.
Well, my family's French. And I'm sure that you've known over the years that my nickname is Fee.
Mm-hmm.
It
right.
means little girl in French, right?
Right.
So after my grandmother passed away, because it was her that nicknamed me Fee in the first place. I was on vacation and I had met this military guy and he was talking, I was saying, oh, this is my nickname. And he said, oh, you should get that tattoo of the symbol of Fee. Right. Yeah. And I was like, right. Oh, sad. So then I started doing research. And of course, so I have the tattoo. And to be honest with you,
I didn't know that.
Yes. And you know what? It's funny because almost directly after I got the tattoo, it changed my reality quite a bit. I actually was able to sense deeper things in like the beauty of reality and all of that different stuff. But yeah, it's amazing. But I have the tattoo. I'll show you.
That's amazing. Wow. I did not know that story.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is so cool. Wow. Yeah. So, okay. So to go on from the fee, and I have to check my notes because I'm trying to stay on track here. So there was a gentleman by the name of Jean-Claude Perez, Perez, and he made a discovery regarding the DNA and the nucleotide bases, which make up the steps in the double helix on the DNA ladder. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the scientifics of it because it's just too much. It talks about, it's just too much to go into, right? But what he found out was that there was a correlation where what was considered to be junk DNA in our system, we have 12 strands of DNA. We're only supposed to be operating on 2. The rest are supposed to be called junk DNA. So there's a correlation where they're equal to phi and the golden ratio of the 1.618 with that junk DNA. So what it says then is that the phi exists on a primal level, right? Because it's in our body.
That's right.
So it stands to reason that if it's in nature, it's going to be in us.
That's right. Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So you can imagine then that using these frequencies, how much they can, it can help you to understand that these frequencies would be so beneficial in healing.
Yeah.
Right? So what I did was I purchased 2 of the, and the numbers, the sequence that he used, or the numbers from the sequence that this Jean-Claude guy used in his studies, he used 55, 89, and 144. And it's all to do with science. You can look it up and read it. It's really interesting. So what I did was I purchased 2 of the Fibonacci frequencies, the 89 and the 144, in tuning in on the body. So they're weighted tuning forks, right? And I use these on my body. I use them on clients as well.
Yeah.
So, and using them both at the same time. So they're amazing. I've had some amazing results with them, as I have with all of the tuning forks, but those are pretty special for me. So what I use the most would be the Solfeggio tuning forks and the Fibonacci tuning forks, those frequencies, I should say, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's other frequencies that I'm sure lots of people have heard about when you talk about music, the 440 and the 432. And you're going to read a lot of different things about those. There's going to be conspiracy theorists out there that say, no, it's nothing to do with it. Other, you know what? Look it up on YouTube. Look up, there's a clip on YouTube with a gentleman playing a guitar that's tuned to 440, and then he plays it again tuned to 432. And it's amazing the difference. The 440 is almost like it grates on me. It's fine until I hear the 432. Once I hear the 432 and go back, it's like, oh, it's grating, right?
And I've heard this several times from a very, couple musicians saying that the 440 was actually developed during times of population control.
Yes.
And for some reason, the frequencies at 440 has more of an effect, but a stirring effect.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas the 432 has more of a calming effect.
Exactly. Yeah. So the 440 gets into your head, whereas the 432 goes into your heart. And if you can actually even check different music that was written and played in the frequency of 432 are the ones that hit the charts. So you talk about Pink Floyd and Wish You Were Here, Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, those were both done in 432s, right? So, and I mean, a simple search can show so much, right? But again, you're going to find all different things. So you need to decipher between what's what. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. The other frequencies that I've just been learning about recently are frequencies. Oh, before I go there, I just want to briefly mention the 128 as well. The 174, which is part of the Solfeggio frequencies, is like an anesthetic. It kind of helps you with physical and energetic pain, right? But the 128 also helps with physical pain. The 128 frequency. So I do have the 128 frequency. I use it on muscle spasms and those kind of things as well. So there's just so many. There's just so many. We'd never be able to talk about them all, right? But the ones that I've been looking into recently are frequent, because you can get frequencies for anything, right? Like if you have an infection, you can have a frequency that's going to help you get rid of the infection. It's like sound is amazing. But the frequencies that I've been looking into are frequencies of I actually came upon it by chance, and one of the websites or one of the Facebook groups that I'm a member of, and that's the Natural Health Library. Mm-hmm. And she had one of the administrators on the Natural Health Library had put in that the frequency of 1150 helped to kill parasites. So I thought that was quite interesting. So I did a little bit more research in it. And I also found that the frequency of 93.9 helps to also kill the parasite eggs.
Wow.
So yeah, so you know, and that's another thing, right? I mean, if anybody has parasites in their body or whatever, using frequencies to get rid of those or to flush those out, I mean, anything that we can use is always to help us is always going to be good, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So those are pretty interesting. And then you get into the human tuning forks, the human organ, and I shouldn't say tuning forks. I should say the frequencies. So what happened is this lady by the name of Barbara Hero with the International Lambsdoma Research Institute. What she did was she passed sound through healthy organs. And then she sound waves through the healthy organs, and then she came up with the frequency of what the healthy organ is.
Okay.
Okay, so she developed a set of tuning forks that are of those frequencies. So as an example, the bladder, and again, I don't know all of these off, the bladder is the frequency of 352 hertz. So if there's any kind of a, so what happens is if one of the organs is not working, not functioning properly or whatever, and you sound this frequency by that organ, well, what happens is, like, if you have two tuning forks at the same frequency, right? And you start one, it's going to activate the second one. Now, I don't have two of them here to be able to show you that, but you can look up, oh, what is his name? I can't remember his name. I can see him, but I can't, I'm terrible with names. Can't remember his name. Anyway, he's got something on YouTube that actually shows, you know, activating one tuning fork and the other one will start if it's the same frequency. She was under kind of the same thing. You start the bladder, that's with the normal or the healthy bladder frequency, hold it next to a bladder that's not so healthy, and it will bring it back in tune. Right? Now, having said that, if there's something seriously wrong there, it's not going to stay in tune.
That's right.
Right? It's gonna fall back out of tune again. So there's something else that you would have to look at to make sure that it stays in tune. What I use is, personally, I use the Fibonacci frequencies. If there's an organ that's not working properly in the system, you always find the organs about 18 inches out off of the body in the field. And if you work with the Fibonacci frequencies in that area to bring them back in tune, and then introduce the healthy, you're more likely to keep that organ in tune because you've removed the block, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's
So
kind of
incredible.
There's just so many different frequencies to look at. And I mean, I could go through them all, but I don't know if I'd have to read most of them off, right? Because I don't use a lot of the organ ones.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're having trouble with your colon, for example, it's the frequency is 176, your lungs are 220, your bladder 352, your intestines are 281. So there's a bunch of fat cells. My God, I use that one, 295.8. Yeah, so there's quite a bit there. Now, the other thing to remember is that if you're using the frequencies, whether you're using tuning forks or whether you're using other products that have simulation, I guess, of the frequencies, like the YouTube or anything that's not natural, right? But I don't want to say natural, but not
raw, because it's like a recording, right?
Exactly. So there can't be any change in it, right? So even if you're using that in your energy field, it's not going to, your energy field, it's still going to be effective, of course, but in using a tuning fork in your energy field, your energy field actually responds better to it because it it changes the sound of the energy of the tuning fork frequency, not the frequency, but it changes the pitch, right?
Mhm.
And so your body can kind of adjust to that. Whereas if you're using something electronic, that's not going to happen. So if you're using something electronic, it's mostly for your mind and inside, right? It's not going to affect the outside as much. I'm sure it still will, but not as much as what the tuning fork moving through the field would. Does that make sense, Linda?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's the same idea is like when you're at a concert and you hear the concert straight on, it's not the same as when you watch it on TV,
Exactly.
right?
That's right.
Like you're just not there experiencing the vibes and experiencing the whole atmosphere, right? So it's the same idea is
Exactly.
when you're right there in it, it has more like when you like it's the same idea as when you have a pitchfork, right? So if you rang your tuning fork and you put it next to this or you put it next to the speaker, like it's not going to make the tuning fork vibrate like another tuning fork would.
No, exactly. That's right. That's right. Yeah, exactly. So you have to be aware of the differences there, but those products are still very good, right? I
Absolutely.
mean, you have the different products out there. I think the Healy is one. You can do a search. There's all kinds using YouTube, just researching certain frequencies for whatever your ailment is or whatever it is you want to deal with. You're going to find it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so much available. Keep in mind though that if you start using, I mean, we use frequencies daily. We don't even realize that it's happening, right? I mean, I didn't get a chance to look at
Oh,
that
the
video you
earring.
sent. I didn't get a chance to look at it yet. I've been so busy. So
Okay.
maybe you just want to talk a little bit about that because I started to and I thought, oh, that's going to be interesting, but then I just didn't after. I didn't have a chance. So
Yeah. Okay. So her name is Ness Chambers. And she did about an hour teaching on the different types of frequencies of when you get ringing in your ears, because ringing in the ears is all downloading information, right? We know
right.
this. We know that there's different messages that are coming through all the time. So just a basic run over, because I'm telling you, we're going to put the link up and you guys should all just go watch it, because if anybody's experiencing ringing in your ears, you can get a deeper understanding of exactly what part of your being is getting the message. But the
Awesome.
left, oh yeah, the left was all about past and it's all about consciousness. The right is all about future and it's all about reality.
Oh my God, that just gives me chills all over because when I'm doing a session, Linda,
Mhm.
it's this so resonates with me because my right ear is the ear that, you know how when you're going, up in an airplane, you're coming down and it goes pop,
Yes.
right? That's what happens in this ear. When I'm doing sessions, if I get something that comes through, as soon as I say it, this ear pops.
And
So
she
it's like
talks about
huge.
that too.
Yeah. Oh, did she?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
She talks about static, crackling. She talks about undertones. She talks about, oh gosh, I didn't make notes, but I mean, it's very thorough. It's a very thorough
Wow.
ears. Yeah. Yeah. And
And,
so
and
that's
what did
out to her.
what did you say her name was?
Her name is Ness Chambers. And like I said, I will put the link under
Awesome.
under this video so that anybody wants to grab a hold of that. I highly recommend tuning into her. She's amazing, amazing, amazing. She does
Wow.
incredible readings. She's just a phenomenal being. So
Amazing. Oh, I have to now I really have to go watch it.
yeah, yeah.
That's really good. So you said the left has to do with the past and the right has to do with the future?
That's right. And the left is also has to do with consciousness. So like
Okay.
your spirituality, like stuff like that. And then the right has to do with reality. So like if so you have
Okay.
the way she explains it is like, okay, so you have an intention, you want to change something in your life. So as soon as you set the intention, you're going to get that ringing into the left ear. where you're getting that new download. So it's a new way of internal being. And then you'll start to get the
Okay.
download into the right ear, where you're starting to get it into practice.
Reality.
What are you
Wow.
doing and how you're going to bring it into the world.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It was,
That's amazing.
that was
Yeah.
an incredible teaching. I'm really one to like scroll through, and I won't listen sometimes the whole way through. Loved listening to her. I listened to every second. So it
Wow. That's, yeah, no, I have to go. Like I say, I started to watch, I asked you to send it to me last evening because I wanted to look at it. I started looking at it and then something came up and I had to go. So all I got to see was in the beginning when she talked about how there were different tones, like some things were louder, some things were softer, sharper, and yeah, so it's even that part. I mean, I only watched the first maybe 3 or 4 minutes of it, right? But
yeah,
she sounds so, I love her voice.
I
She
know.
sounds such a, she sounds like such a, oh, such a loving person,
Yes.
right? Because everybody that's coming on, she's calling them Sweet Pea and, oh, hello, Sweet Pea. And oh, she's such a sweetheart. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. I have to watch her now. Well,
Yeah.
that's good. Awesome. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit is that once we start really actively using frequencies for healing, we are going to find ourselves experiencing some detox symptoms, right? So if you've gone for a healing session or anything, you know that you can have detox symptoms. If you go for tuning fork sessions or whether it's Reiki or whichever, there's detox symptoms. And if you start doing them on your own, you're going to have, you may have, likely you will have those same type of detox symptoms. So maybe we can just talk a little bit about detox symptoms, Linda, if that's okay with you.
Sure. So detox symptoms could be no matter what session you're doing, anyways. And I'm just going to throw this out there. Any kind of healing, any kind of energy work at all, Epsom salt baths, drinking
Yes,
lots of water, light walking, and
absolutely.
walking is really good because you're activating
Grounding.
the lymph system.
Mhm.
And making sure you're going to the bathroom often and making sure your bowels are moving, extremely
Yeah,
important.
yeah, for
uh,
sure. And what you may notice too, and I know we're getting a little bit kind of too much information here, but you may notice as well, once you really start detoxing, that the smells will change
mhm,
big
mhm,
time.
yeah,
Right? So not only the smells from when you go to the bathroom, but underarm body odor and that kind of thing, you may notice a difference. I know for myself, I thought I was going crazy one day. Oh my God, I just tell you a quick little story. It was about, well, every time we raise vibration, right? Like things change. So I don't know how long it was, maybe a year and a half. I don't know. Maybe it was closer. I don't know. I have no concept of time. But anyway, I got I would do my hair in the morning and I would smell my hair. Okay. So this morning I got in the shower and I thought, I gotta have a shower. Like, I don't know why. I wash my hair pretty much, well, not lately every day, but I was washing it every day there for a while because of this. Anyway, I got in the shower and I washed my hair and I got out and I dried my hair and then I went, what is that smell? Like it stinks. So I sent a message to one of my mentors and I said, like, is this normal? Like, cause this is really, and she sent back a message like laughing her head off because yes, it is normal. And that was one of my experiences that it really smelled bad. And I'd say to Nick, smell my hair. Does it smell bad? And he'd say, no, it does. So he couldn't smell it. It was only me, but there it is. Right. So, and yes, the Epsom salts bath. Absolutely. Epsom salts bath. What I also always recommend after a tuning fork session, where we move so much energy, is that if you can stay in an Epsom salts bath for at least 40 minutes, because it'll take the first 20 minutes for you to detox. And then the second 20 minutes, you can actually absorb that magnesium back into your body from the Epsom salts, right? Does that make sense to you, Linda?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm a 4-hour bath person, so everybody in my house knows that once I'm in the bath, they're like, "Oh, great, nothing's getting done today." But did you know that if you sit in the tub for longer than 2 hours, your liver actually starts to regenerate itself?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. We learn from each other, right? Like and that's why it's so important to communicate with people when you're on this journey, and we're all on our own journey, but when you're on this journey of spirituality and learning more, it's so important to talk to others who are on the same journey. They might not be in the same place you are, but there's no levels. There
There
are
is.
absolutely no levels. And you can be doing this for 30 years and you're still going to learn something from somebody else because things change so fast,
That's right.
right? Yeah.
So getting back to the detox, so
Detox.
some of the detox symptoms that you might be experiencing, even through this shift, because there's so many different things that are happening energetic wise, but headaches, foggy
It's,
thinking, um,
mhm.
joint pain, um, slower digestion, which means maybe taking some of the heavier things out and kind of eating a lighter diet until it kind of,
Mhm.
gets past. But, all of these things are just completely normal detox symptoms.
Yeah.
And usually,
I Sorry,
sorry,
go ahead. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
it should only last about 2 to 3 days to a week at the most.
Mhm.
And if there's something going on more than that, definitely report back to your healer and let them know there's something more going on, because you might have to look a little deeper. There might be some more like imbalance stuff happening inside your system that you have to get looked at by an actual medical doctor, right?
Right, right. And a couple of other symptoms would be sleep disruption,
Mhm.
right? Not needing as much sleep or needing more sleep, being tired, more tired, being exhausted or having a lot more energy. So it can go from one extreme to the next, right?
Right.
The other thing is food. Like Linda had mentioned, you might actually not even feel like you want to eat in some you okay?
I don't know. My puppy is making a noise up there.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's a little
Um,
over dramatic though at times, you know. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
That's okay. That's okay. So food, yeah. For myself, I found that lately I don't need as much food.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't seem to be that I'm eating as much food, which is probably a good thing because I was eating quite a bit there for a while, especially with all this closed just shut down and everything. Yeah. So those detox symptoms, and you're absolutely right, Linda. If it continues on more than 3 days, you definitely want to do something about it because every time we have a healing session, it can stir up something else, right? So if you're detoxing for longer than the 3 days, you need to get back in and do some more healing in order to help that to pass through. Yeah. So
You
I've
just
had
wanna make
people,
sure,
oh,
yeah,
go
sorry, that
ahead.
you wanna make sure it's not a bigger imbalance, like there's something more going
Exactly.
on, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and we'll be talking a little bit more about this, I guess, the next time, Linda. Hey, because our next session we are doing on blockages. So every session or every episode kind of ties into the other. If you guys noticed, we talked about healing, we talked about energy. This time we talk about frequencies. The next time we're talking about blockages. So they kind of all kind of fit together, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was something I just wanted to talk to. So sometimes in the frequency of the brain, we can get stuck in certain frequencies in our brain, right? And we see this in like PTSD or trauma,
Oh yes, yes,
right? And
yeah.
and a lot of times what happens is when a trauma happens and we get into that high fast brain, we're trying to fix, trying to fix. We can't get to those lower energy, like those lower frequencies, because a lot of the like the deeper issues get solved when we go into the lower frequencies and back up
Right.
in lower frequencies and back up. And if we lose that fluidity through trauma or PTSD, we lose our ability to really deeply learn what the lessons are. So that is something to keep in mind, because we need to be reaching out to somebody to help us through those times. Um,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
yeah, and shock, we have the instant, the trauma, of course, but the shock will last for so long depending on the type of trauma that we've received. Shock is a very difficult one to navigate.
Mhm.
And so it's very difficult to get yourself to come down. Listen to the YouTube frequencies as much as you can, and even if you have to be cleaning or you have to be moving or doing something, just have it playing in the background,
Mhm.
just so that you can get your mind, you're appeasing the mind, doing what it needs and that high, but you're also getting this activation happening in the background.
Right.
um, you know
Right. It's kind of like you can use it in the physical way as well, right? If you have trauma, for an example, you get whiplash. You're in a car accident, you get whiplash, right? And what happens is that kind of sticks there. Well, that's in the muscle or whatever. It's kind of the same thing. It gets stuck there, and it doesn't get better because, well, it does eventually get better, I guess, but sometimes it'll come back or it'll stay because that trauma has not been moved, which is where the trigger points come in. And that might be a whole other episode again.
that's in blockages.
Yes, that's in blockages. That's right. Oh my goodness. There's so much, right? It's all so interesting once you get into it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's also all geared towards your learning. It's all geared towards evolution. It's all geared towards bringing your spirit and your soul to higher thinking, higher ways of being and acting in the world.
Mhm.
And so
Higher vibrations.
yeah, and the more that we can wrap our minds around that, even a car accident, yeah, it's a car accident, but it happened for a reason.
Exactly.
I find that that is one of the hardest shifts to make in your head, because you want to be a victim, you want to blame somebody else. It's just so easy instead of taking responsibility, inside of yourself and learning what it is happening for.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. And you carry different things in different parts of your body, right? Which we'll get into that the next time as well, because you carry inside your body, but you also carry outside of your body.
Right. And
So and it's funny because I don't know if I talked to you about this or not, or you might know already know it anyway, but depending on how you stand is if you stand in a victim stance or not, right? So there's all different kinds of so much to talk about.
so much to
Yeah,
talk about.
so
That's right.
much to
and
talk about.
and every little thing is a frequency.
Everything. Just
Every
like
little thing.
everything has energy, right? Everything
That's
holds
right.
energy. So everything is a frequency.
Everything is a frequency. So even inside of yourself, you are walking around a walk-in frequency, and the external world is just matching that frequency at
Mhm.
all times, right? And so when we shift our energy, we're shifting our frequency, and we're shifting the different things that are matching on the outside.
Yeah, we're like a perfect symphony.
We are a perfect symphony. I don't know if everybody would agree with that statement.
But but we are.
Yeah,
Even we're an imperfect perfect frequency.
that's right.
Let's say it that way. Or a
That's
perfect imperfect frequency.
It's exactly right though. It's
It
exactly.
is.
And the
It
more
is.
we take responsibility for that frequency, the more we are able to evolve and move forward within ourselves, and we tap into new frequencies, and we tap into
Exactly.
new life experiences, and that's really what it's all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So much fun. Yeah. So I think did you have anything else to add there? I think I pretty much talked about what my notes are.
Yeah, no,
You're
I'm
good.
done. I would just wanted to talk about just the fact that when we're experiencing high emotions and stuff, and our brain is locked in a beta or a gamma, it's not able to process and learn as easily. And so, interrupting that is really important. That's all I wanted to talk
Really important. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So we did a shout out today for what's her name?
Ness Chambers is her name.
Nest Chambers.
She's
So
amazing. So check her out. We're going to put her link down below to that video where it's talking about ringing in the ears and all the different
awesome.
frequencies we're hearing.
Perfect. Do you have any announcements at all?
I don't. Just a big, huge Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yes, exactly, because that's only a couple of days away. Happy Tibbs Eve, right now today. Linda and I are going to get together this evening.
Mhm.
Maybe have a game of pool
Yay!
with our significant others.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
that'll be fun.
This
Yeah,
will be
that'll
our
be fun.
Christmas celebration with the neighbors. And it's
Exactly.
the Newfoundland tradition, isn't it?
It is. It is the Newfoundland tradition, right? We probably won't be drinking much, but
Yeah.
I'm sure the men will.
Yeah, exactly. Usually how it goes.
Usually how it goes. Yeah. I did want to mention though that I have now posted on my, and I don't know if you saw it or not, Linda. I posted on my own page, the La Mayuse Facebook page, is that I'm starting now to do pre-registrations for women's circle groups. So the women's circle groups that I will be taking is there's going to be a maximum of 8 people in any circle, which will give us time for everyone to have their say in the circle if that's what they want to do, right? If so be it, you don't have to, but that's the way it goes. Anyway, I've posted that. It's the pre-registration, so we're not starting until after January. But what I want to do is I want to see who's interested, so I can kind of put the groups together, different time periods, I guess, because this is for people all around the world, right?
Yeah.
And the different age groups. I want to make sure I have a variety of ages and different groups. So that should be something that's quite interesting. I do 2 as right now here in this area. Which is once a month. I have 2 women's circles, sistership circles, we call them. And so these ones are brand new, and I'm opening them up to do them online because I've been doing the online ones since COVID came in, right? When we weren't able to, like when we were in the orange phase, we weren't able to get together. We started doing them online, and it was pretty good. It was pretty easy. So I thought, well, wow, this is something that can be offered to anybody who wants to join. So any women out there that are looking for a little bit of support or just some help spiritually, and not doesn't even have to be help, just kind of getting together. It's about discussion. It's about learning, and again, we'll learn from each other. Yeah, so that's quite. If you go on my page and you see that, I'll ask that you share it out because we want to get as many people in as possible and help as many as possible. Yeah. So I think that's it from me. Next week, we're going to do blockages.
Blockages.
So that's on the 30th.
Yeah. Energy blockages and how they manifest themselves.
Yeah. So we'll be getting into.
Ooh, that's on the 30th. That's like right the day before New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Yeah. The day before New Year's Eve. So I'm sure we'll see each other again. Well, we will this evening, but I'm sure we will again before the 30th too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we're pretty close to 3:00. So I think we did. I think we got everything in.
I think so.
Pretty close anyway.
So thank you everybody for watching. It's lovely to have you all, and be sure to like and follow our page, and so you can get notifications of our podcast when we come up.
Absolutely. And have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Everyone, we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.